Next up, we have Michelle Norris, who is the co-founder of a very popular convention called Paleo FX. She has a unique context because she organizes a convention that brings in many, many experts on a variety of topics, which means she gets to see it all. So we get one person who's got a breadth of experience that can share it with us right now. Enjoy this interview. So Michelle, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me who you are and what it is that you do.
Well, I'm Michelle Norris. I am the CEO and co-founder of PaleoFX, the largest paleo health and wellness platform and event in the world.
So that probably wasn't your goal in grade school. So tell me, how did this happen?
No, it was not my goal in grade school. I actually was very sick in about 2004, 2005. I'm a trained chef. My specialty was Italian. And I made my own pizza and pasta dough. And what happened was I was constantly sick. I had been diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, IBS. And what was interesting is I also had some, you get into this place where there's things about your health and everything that just become part of your normal. And so there was like low back pain, knee pain, that type of thing that was there that I actually didn't recognize or know was there. It just was part of my day. And so I had all of those things. I had also been misdiagnosed with early onset rheumatoid arthritis, and I was just really in a lot of pain every time that I ate. Keith decided to go paleo, and after he had been paleo for close to a year, whenever I would make any kind of dinners, if I wasn't making something he could eat that was paleo, he would make his own dinner. So after about a year of this, he kept telling me through that year, off and on, he's just not somebody that would beat you over the head with anything. He's kind of like I call him like a wave. Like he'd come in and he'd go out and he'd tell you, hey, I think you need to check out this celiac thing. And so I just kind of like poo-pooed that off and everything. And I didn't really know a lot about it. I didn't know what it was about. And so about a year, I'm in making pizza and pasta dough, and it's one of the kids' birthdays, so I'm making a lot. And there he is making his own dinner. And I looked at him and said, "You're not going to ever have my pizza or pasta, are you, again?" And he said, "No, and I really think that you have celiac and you need to go get it checked out." I did. I was tested, but at that time they tested for the wrong antibodies, so I was tested negative. And so I went and saw a doctor. I was seeing a doctor, and he's the one that tested me. And what he said to me was, your symptoms sound like you have celiac. So what I want to do is cut into your colon and take a biopsy. And I thought, what? I mean, like, why would you want to do that? Why can't, okay, I'll just, how about if I just modify my diet? So I actually went paleo. And after 3 weeks, all of my symptoms were gone. And as you probably know, rheumatoid arthritis is not something that goes away. It is something that goes into remission. Well, I don't have it. And so that was something that was interesting. Then, of course, the knee pain and the back pain was gone that I hadn't even recognized. It was just so subtle and in the background. It's kind of like white noise. And so that was gone. I had clarity of mind, and that thing is, I wasn't happy about it because I had to give up foods that I loved. I mean, loved these foods. And so I was in this state of denial, thinking at some point in my life, I'm going to be able to put these foods back into my diet. But what happened was I had been paleo for probably about 12 weeks. And when you eat the standard American diet, or the SAD diet like we refer to it, most women yo-yo. We go back and forth. So we'll have a whole slew of different sizes in our closet and not even notice when we're going up or down. And so I had everything from a size 6 to a size 12. And what was interesting is I hadn't noticed that I was going down. And our son played baseball, and he had been out of season for about 12 weeks. So I hadn't seen any of these parents for 12 weeks. Now, mind you, at this point, but when their first baseball game came, I had only been paleo for 6 weeks. And showed up at the game, and all the parents were like, "Oh my God, you look amazing. What have you done? Like, you've lost so much weight. You look so healthy. You look so vibrant. What's going on?" Well, I hadn't done anything. And the thing is that I had struggled with dieting and getting my weight down so much. And I was back into a size 6 and didn't realize it. And that was a light bulb moment for me. That was the moment that I realized that this was information that it could actually help people. And Keith says that's the day a paleo evangelist was born. So at that point was a food writer and a recipe developer for a lot of different sites. And I had continued that even though I was paleo and I was, feeling better and everything. I was still writing those recipes, those sad recipes. And I realized that I had to stop that. And so I started my own blog at that point. And yeah.
You talk about being paleo or being on paleo. What does that mean?
For me, initially, paleo was all about the diet. It was all about the diet and the nutrition. And I was adhering to a pretty strict paleo diet at the beginning and really trying, I don't always recommend that for a lot of people because there are a lot of people that have a difficult time going all in and being able to do it all in one fell swoop. So one of the first things I do is ask them, remove sugar first, and then gluten comes next and some of the other things. But I went all in. And I'm so glad that I did. It was not easy. There were times where it was very difficult. I was addicted to having, 2 Dr. Peppers a day and had to switch from Dr. Pepper to an alternative soda that didn't have sugar in it, adding, getting all of that. So for me, it was initially about the diet and the nutrition and removing all of those things from my diet.
There are people who have no idea what the paleo diet is. This is so familiar to you and everybody in your world knows what this means. What is the paleo diet and what does it look like?
Well, I would say paleo is not a diet. Paleo is definitely a lifestyle. And so we try to instill that in people that this is, and Paleo FX is not a diet conference. It's not diet and nutrition. It's there. There's a piece of it there, but it is a lifestyle conference. And so what we believe is that there are 6 pillars of health. There's physical health, mental health, emotional health, relational health, financial health, and spiritual health. And if you don't have all of those, you can't truly be healthy. And so we have all of that at Paleo FX, and we believe that when you come into the paleo lifestyle, you change your lifestyle across the board in all areas of all the 6 pillars. And it makes a tremendous impact in your life and in the people around you, for sure. So like I said, it's not for me, it's a lifestyle now. Paleo, the diet, which is a template. It's, there's no one paleo diet, but everybody has to find what works for them. And so there's a jumping off point. And in that jumping off point, what I would say is the paleo diet is about removing processed foods from your diet. It's about removing added sugars and removing grains, removing all the things that are inflammatory. So a paleo diet would also exclude inflammatory foods like sometimes eggs and sometimes dairy and that type of thing. We don't do any soy and we don't do any legumes. Gluten is probably one of the most inflammatory foods that's out there. So that's obviously one of the first things we want to go. So we would say, you're going to try a template, remove these foods for at least 30 days. And then after the 30 days is up, you can add something back in and see whether or not it's actually inflammatory for you, because you're going to know pretty darn quick whether or not it's a problem for you. And then you're going to have to go and tweak. So I initially started out on a very strict paleo diet, and then I moved more to primal, and primal just means that you can tolerate dairy. And I tolerate dairy. My genetics actually show that I have the enzymes to break dairy down. Most people think that they're lactose intolerant, and a lot of times they actually are not lactose intolerant. What they're intolerant to is the way we process milk, particularly conventional milk. So we process it, it's through pasteurization and homogenization, and then what we do is we fortify it by putting back in synthetic vitamins. Generally, it's the synthetic vitamins that cause a lot of discomfort and distress for people. So when they actually have raw milk that has not had any processing, they tend to not have any problems. But by and large, most people that believe that they have any issues with dairy probably should stay away from dairy and probably keep it out of their diet permanently if it causes issues.
So let's talk about pain. You mentioned that you were in so much pain, you had almost subconsciously believed that this is what it was like to be me.
Right.
What was that like then when you shifted your diet, and then all of a sudden, these pains that weren't really the target started to go away? Did you test it enough to where those came back, and have you modulated that?
Yes. So what's interesting is, yes, a lot of those pains were all completely under the radar. Like I wouldn't have been able to tell you I have really severe left knee pain. I have really severe low back pain. I just didn't even notice that it was there because we get kind of numb to those things and we get so disconnected from our bodies. So we actually don't tune into these are all signals from your body saying something's wrong, you need to change something. The problem is I wasn't connected to my body. I wasn't connected to that. That's a signal from my body to tell me to change something, that we're having trouble. It just becomes part of the normal everyday life. We become numb to it, or we even take painkillers to get away from it. I didn't take any painkillers for it, but I definitely noticed when it was gone. And so that's one of the things too, is that I think we have a lot of these myths around that, oh, well, that's just normal because you're getting older, this is going to happen. And so we have this belief that when we get older, we are supposed to descend into this, deterioration of our bodies, our minds, our everything, and that these all come with becoming older. And those are all myths. That's all a lie. The thing is that we are absolutely made and created to live until the moment we die. We are not meant to go here and then this steep decline, and it's a long, slow, agonizing, sometimes painful process of dying. That's not how it was intended to go. It was intended to, you're born, you live, you die. That's it. And when you finally recognize and you are reconnected with your body and it signals to you that things are wrong, you can actually stop that and have a lot more longevity and a lot more quality of life and health and happiness because of it. Because there's a lot of people that are so unhappy because of how much pain they're in physically, and they don't know what to do with it. And most of it is tied to what they're eating.
So if you were counseling with somebody who was in chronic pain, and even if their doctor had diagnosed their pain as being this disc or this other thing, and they were open to seeing if they could improve their position or the way they're processing this, what would you have someone do?
The first thing I would do is say they probably need to do some type of elimination diet. If it's paleo, if it's autoimmune protocol, that type of thing, that would be the first thing to do, because so much of our chronic inflammation, pain in joints particularly, bloating, swelling, achingness, brain fog, most of that is caused by the foods you eat, because at the end of the day, foods are the ones that drive everything in your body. They drive your entire hormonal cascade. And that drives everything. All your neurotransmitters are driven by your hormones. So it's like, if those are all off whack, if you are putting in, let me say this is how we are as humans. We take better care of our cars than we do of this vehicle. And we get one of these. We can replace a car at any point in time. But we will go and do the maintenance on a car. We will take care of the tires. We will rotate the tires. We will put in oil. We will put in transmission fluid. We will take care of the coolant. We will do all of those things. We take better care of that than we do of ourselves. And we'll put the right gas in it. We don't put the right gas in this vehicle. That's one of the problems that we have, is we put the wrong fuel in this vehicle. And then we expect it, we're going to feed it like a Yugo and we expect it to run like a Ferrari. It's not happening. And that's where there's this big disconnect, and we have to stop that. And so, that's that process of, if you have pains and everything, and they can come, and a doctor is going to come and tell you, well, you have an enlarged, meniscus or whatever, you have a bulging disc, all of these things. A lot of these things can be tied back to the way that you have been fueling this vehicle.
The paleo diet, or more specifically, conversations about what we are really eating, has become very popular. Is this a fad?
If it's a fad, it's the oldest running fad ever. Our the paleo diet is based on the premise of the way that our ancestors ate, the hunter-gatherers. And so we can't completely mimic that diet. And we're not trying to reenact anything here. We have technology that's amazing. And what we want to do is leverage that technology for the best possible ancestral health. The thing is, we need to use it smartly and all of that. But what this is going back to the way that they did things, and which is eating whole foods. We have so much processed foods that we call foods with no breaks. They're hyper palatable foods that are engineered, highly engineered. And in fact, I wouldn't even refer to them mostly as foods because they're food-like things. They are frankenfoods. And so what they do is they actually turn off our satiety receptors. So we have to continue to eat because we are not satiated. Our body doesn't think it's gotten enough, and it hasn't gotten enough nutrients. It's gotten enough junk. And so we have to stop doing that and recognize that our DNA is being used against us by big food companies, because they all have food engineers that come in there and they make these foods so that we have to continually eat. I mean, that's why the tagline's "Bet you can't eat just one." That's it. You can't because of the way that it's manipulated with fats and sugar and salt. Your body can't. It needs more and more and more and more. It's really akin to a drug. Your tolerance keeps going up and up, and so you have to continue to consume more and more. So I would just say that, that's one of the things we have to get control of is all the processed foods. We need to get rid of the processed foods. I'm not saying that, because cooking is a process, obviously. But what we need to do is get back to more simple foods, more natural foods, foods that you find in the outer perimeter of the grocery store or at your farmer's market, not the things that you go up and down the aisle for that are in a box. If it comes from a plant, eat it, but if it comes made in a plant, don't. So those are the things that we would say as far as the paleo diet. But this all goes back to our ancestry. We are not adapted and evolved yet enough to be able to digest some of the things that we have created, and that's just not going to happen anytime soon. And why would we want it to? What we want to do is to get back to what's actually natural and what was here when our ancestors got here.
I love your recovery and I love your story. What would you say to someone who is in chronic pain for one reason or another and hasn't yet even considered altering their lifestyle or diet?
I think that a lot of times we're looking for the quick fix. We're looking for the pill. We're looking for that magic bullet that's going to take care of everything, and magically everything's going to go away. All of our pain and suffering will just go away. And at the end of the day, you're trading, it's like, it's the Faustian bargain, you're trading that in for something probably a lot worse. Because most of the drugs that are out there currently have so many chemicals and so many toxins in them that I was on medication from the time I was 17 until 2016. Don't even know how many years that was. But I was on medication for a long time for migraines. And I finally, when I went paleo, I got control over my migraines, but they weren't completely gone. The reason they weren't completely gone is because I was still taking the medications. And all of that didn't even connect for me, even though I had been paleo for so long. That didn't connect for me that I needed to get rid of the toxins. I had mercury in my mouth. I finally got the mercury out of my mouth, went through chelation, and actually because of all of that process, they said I had to come off of my medications before I went and did that procedure. So I thought, you know what? I don't want to go back on the medications after this is done. So I found some natural alternatives to be able to keep my migraines and my headaches at bay. They were bad. I mean, they took away, if I look back, they probably took a good year of my life away over the course of time, of how many days and how many weeks that I was in bed suffering and not being able to do anything, completely debilitated by migraines. And so I lost, I would say probably very, very easily, probably a year of my life. And there was a better way. But the problem is that we don't educate ourselves. We don't think through these things. We don't think, what's the long-term gain? Yeah, right now, I might put myself out of pain this very moment, popping this pill, but what's the long-term play? What am I going to pay for it? Because you're going to pay something for that. That's not free. And I don't mean money free. I'm talking quality of life free. Something in your body is going to give up something for that release at that moment. You're doing something. So is that worth it to you? That would be the first question I would ask. Is that really worth it to you? Because I think we are so into instant gratification instead of making the long-term plays that take us time to get us to a place where we are healthier, where we stop having so much pain. And so when I went through that process, I thought I need to get off these medications. By that point in 2016, I'm heavy into paleo. I really know the drill. I know that these medications are probably toxic for me, but it was the only remedy that I could even see until I found an alternative and really started searching. I started using essential oils. I started doing ice packs. I started doing meditation. I started doing all of these things that actually helped my central nervous system calm down so that I could actually free all my blood cells and everything from, constricting. So in 2016, I ended up off of all of my medications. I haven't had a headache since. So the thing is that even someone like me who knows that the system that we have currently is set up to maintain our disease or our issues, chronic pain, they're set up to just manage that, not help you get rid of it. Do you want to get rid of it? That would be another question I'd ask. Do you want to get rid of it, or do you just want to manage it? I want to get rid of it. I want to find the thing at the bottom of the barrel, the problem that started the root, where it all started growing from, so I can get rid of that root and actually have it go away. I don't want to just put it, we basically put, Band-Aids on bullet wounds. That's how we operate in all of this when we talk about particularly pain. That's all we're doing is putting Band-Aids on bullet wounds.
Let's finish on a really happy note. I'm assuming as a chef that you found some wonderful things to cook that are paleo. So how has that progressed?
Well, what's interesting is having my specialty be Italian, I initially missed the pasta and everything. Now I don't. I'm so happy that I don't eat any of that anymore. And I actually prefer like zoodles, which is zucchini noodles, or any type of you can do sweet potato noodles, you can do butternut squash noodles, all of that. And all of those make really great pasta that actually has a lot more flavor and is a lot more nutrient dense for you. So I love being able to play with that. I don't get to cook as much as I used to, and what I really like, PaleoFX keeps me pretty busy, but I do really enjoy the foods that I eat now. And the thing is that the simpler that they are, the better they are. And especially if you're sticking to really good quality foods that are organic, and that's not the end all be all. If the best thing that you can do is just have whole vegetables, fruits, that type of thing, make the best choice that you can. But I just love the way food tastes when it's very simple and you don't have to, you're not having to mask it because it's got all kinds of stuff in it. So yeah, it's been incredible. I think I know a lot of people think that paleo is so restrictive. I particularly think it's very freeing because you know that the foods that you're eating are actually nourishing and fueling this vehicle and this body, and that you're actually making yourself healthier. You're not doing something to be detrimental to your health. And then, they just taste good.
Well, Michelle, I love what you guys have created. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
The paleo world is an important culture in this thing called supplementation and natural health, so I was really happy to be able to share this interview with you.